Hi guys, welcome to another video and welcome to the Kielder Forest drive, which is a bit of a bumpy road, and I'm not sure if you know about this road, but basically it connects the east of Kielder Forest to the west of Kielder Forest, and basically I'm aiming to go to a viewpoint about midway for sunset. But my main reason for coming for Kielder is basically because the forecast is really good, well, looking really promising for fog tomorrow, fog and mist. And I couldn't really resist coming over and having a look, spending the night in the van and seeing if the conditions prove fruitful. But yeah, I've never drove this road, and it's, well, yeah, it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. Here we are. Jeez, that road's bumpy. It's a toll road, which I believe costs £5. And I'm heading over to Kielder Castle, where you can actually camp. Well, you can stay in your van the night, and you pay, I think it's £12, and then you can stay the night legally, which I'm not a great fan of parking up in places and just sort of stealth camping. I like to stay in a proper campsite. But let's go and have a look at the subject. Wow. It's amazing that this weather's still holding out, but I'm going to spin you around. And this is what we're photographing. Well, this is what we're hopefully photographing. And this is Blackhope Nick. So we're 457 metres above sea level, apparently. And this is going to be the subject. And I think it could be wide angle territory, to be honest. And luckily, as luck would have it, I actually have a wide angle lens with me, because I'm not using the Panasonic gear today. And I know 3 weeks ago I said I was changed to Panasonic. Well, I said I changed to Panasonic for my main camera, but I didn't say that I wasn't using another camera system as well alongside it. And today I've got my Fujifilm X-Pro3 with me, with a trio of lenses covering full frame equivalent 17mm to 300mm, because basically I want flexibility, and I don't want the weight, and I just want to get on with taking photos. Now, I know this camera isn't the obvious choice for landscape photography, but I actually really like it. I think it's such a hands-on camera. It reminds me of using a film camera, to be honest. It's just very nice. So I don't need to do f2.8, I'm going to go for f8. I've got a black and white profile at the moment, but it may not stop like that. But it's a nice, really simple scene. Basically looking straight down the structure like I showed you originally. So straight down, looking towards the distant hills, which I think might make quite a nice shot in its own right. I'm going to focus midway in there. I'm very worried about the exposure, because basically there's a lot of bright out there and a lot of dark in here and loads of shadows. I'm in a black and white profile at the moment. I reserve the right to change my mind on that one if I want. So I've now got a 2-second self-timer set. I'm actually going to go for F10. I don't think it actually particularly needs it, but I'm going to go for F10. Yeah, I think F10. The light looks quite interesting. I'm going to take a shot, one stop under. No, I'm going to do it 2 stops under. One stop under. And at the exposure it's suggesting. So I'm just setting up another shot here. This is definitely going to be black and white. And it's going to be really wide. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, to be honest. Oh, it's not going to be as wide as I expected. So 16, so 24mm full frame equivalent. But I'm going to drastically underexpose it because I want to make the whole thing a silhouette. And I'm going to go f11, just try and get some nice starburst on the sun, really. But as you can see, really, one of the reasons why I love using the Fujifilm X-Pro3 is because it's so hands-on. There's no using electronic things to change settings. I'm literally using a big dial here to use exposure compensation. Okay, I'm using a Tamron wide-angle lens, which unfortunately doesn't have an aperture, physical aperture on it. So I have to use aperture on the front dial. And as it happens, the other lens I use is Sigma 18-50, that's the same, so I still have to use a little front jogger wheel. But my 55-200mm does have a physical aperture ring. But apart from that, it's physical controls. Don't underestimate just how good physical controls can be for practicing photography. Right, so I've changed to the big lens now, the 55-200. I do like this lens, I've always liked this lens. But I do find it works a lot better if you take the lens cap off. Right, maximum zoom. I'm hoping, there's a little bit of mist in the hill, so I'm hoping I can sort of capture that. And maybe not as well as I would hope. So I've drove a little bit further towards Kielder Castle now. I suspect I'm about 3 miles away from where I'm going to be camping. I was hoping that the hills that I just took a photo of, which I wasn't entirely pleased with, I was hoping I could actually get a little bit closer to them and get a clear view of them. But as it happens, as I'm getting closer, I'm getting more hemmed in by trees. So it's a bit frustrating. However, I don't think there was going to be much happening up at the shelter art structure thing. There was a lot of people turning up. I think the chances of me getting a clear sunset there without loads of tourists on it was going to be pretty remote. So I think this is my best bet, coming a little further down. But, you know, just look at the views. Really, worst case scenario, if I don't get another photo tonight, I'm pleased with a couple I've already got from there, so that's good. I think one of them actually could be particularly special. Hopefully. Don't count your chickens, Jason. So even if I don't get another photo tonight, it's not the end of the world, but I'm going to carry on down the road a little bit and see what I can do. There's got to be a shot, hasn't there? There just has to be. I'm thinking these group of trees here, I'm not sure where you can see it, the light's coming out nice on top. I'm going to have to work quite quickly, I think, I'm going to have to try and use the big lens, 55-200mm, trying to isolate details. As I say, I'm going to have to work really quickly on this one because that sun's going to go. And that's going to mean two things once that sun goes. First of all my light's going to go, so the shot's going to lose any sort of three-dimensional pop about it at all. But also, it may mean midges, which is not good. We don't want midges. Yeah, this area is sort of particularly renowned for midges, but can be particularly horrible here. You can probably see them flying around. I can see them. I've got a feeling. The net might be coming out later. So if you see me with a strange net over my head, you'll know why. And I was really confident about this shot before, but now I'm starting to have my doubts. Ah, Midge Fest. Oh, I forgot just how much I dislike midges. And I mean, really dislike midges. I've got a feeling it's going to be an itchy night tonight in the van. Oh, I knew, I did know it was going to be a risk coming to Kielder after a few days of nice hot weather. I should have known better. There might be another shot there. Oh, jeez. Right, I think there might be another shot in that direction. The tree's looking really nice. The midges are horrendous. I'm not sure if you can make out the trees in the distance there and a bit of hills behind. I think this could be quite nice. It may even be quite a nice colour shot, but I'll shoot it and then I'll decide probably later. I'm going to spin you around. I'm going to have to work really quick, simply because the midges are horrendous. Right. The shot is working. It's no good. It's no good. I've succumbed. Midge net time. The only problem with a midge net is it's virtually impossible for me to actually see anything. Nightmare. I'm just going to try coming back around here. You know what? This is never going to happen, is it? Oh, saying that. No, I'm just going to have to get bit for my art, aren't I? Right. Right. Ah, man. Okay. Ah, man. Horrible. This is the reason why I don't go to Scotland in the summer. And I've come to Northumberland mid-September and it's horrible. Right. You know what? I'm admitting defeat. I'm going to jump in the van. I'm going to go down to my campsite and I'm going to set up and I'm going to catch up with you guys in the morning, and don't be surprised if this isn't on my head. In the meantime, I'll leave you one of these photos. Morning guys. Well, it's not exactly what I had in mind, but I think I've got a shot here. The fog's nowhere near as low. I was hoping for fog and mist down by the lake, and basically it wasn't to be, so I've jumped back on the forest road and headed up a little bit, and yeah, this is quite nice I think. It's going to be a very simple shot. Very simple to start off with. I just want to get something in the bag. Probably black and white, but I may change my mind on that one. F8, ISO 160, shutter speed, 1/5 of a second apparently. I think this is a classic example of how a little bit of mist or fog or low-lying cloud can actually transform the scene, because this is a harvest site. All these trees have been chopped down, and to be honest, without this fog and mist it would be quite boring, is the way of putting it. Just quite dirty, quite messy, that's the better word, messy. I don't think it needs any underexposure on this one. If anything, I think it's favouring towards being needing a bit of overexposure. Now I can still check the histogram in this camera, but I have to do it for the viewfinder, so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I think about 2/3 overexposures, making it quite nice and fairly high key. So if you look at the shot I've just taken, basically I'm using the tree on the right hand side again as really the main point of interest. But what I'm finding interesting about this angle are the trees behind, which keep coming in and out of focus as the mist rolls through. So yeah, I think this angle works slightly nicer than from over there, because there's a bit more in the frame going on. However, if you look at the bottom of the frame, you can see it's quite messy from the remains of tree trunks and things like that, so that's not quite as ideal. So I've recomposed the shot slightly, and this time I'm making sure the tree trunks, the tree stumps, sorry, the tree stumps are in the frame entirely. So basically I'm making sure they are part of what I want to tell in this story. And by including them, I'm hoping we can now realise, convey to the viewer as such, that this is a harvest size. There have been a lot of trees chopped down, but there's one tree remaining with a few sentinels behind. Okay, so a bit more fog's rolling in now. It's amazing how many different shots you can get really as the fog comes in. And again, this is a slight deviation on the last photo, but because there's a lot more fog coming in, I think I'm going to jump back in the van and head back along the forest drive and see what we can see, get a little bit more height. You never know, we might be able to get above the clouds and sort of look down, but yeah, let's go. So there's a bit of colour in the sky over there, and we spin you around, you can see all the cloud and mist, but it's going away quite quickly, so I'm going to have to set up a really quick shot to see if I can get something of this. Excuse the messy van. Always seems to happen when I come out on a trip like this. Starts off nice and tidy, ends up really mucky. Right, so what I'm trying to do is I effectively want to just try and get some clouds over trees. I haven't got much time though. So again, using the 55 to 200, I'm going to try and pick up little details, just try and highlight, isolate little details within the landscape. And I'll just compose a nice scene, and then as quickly as I composed it, the cloud and mist just disappeared. So hope some more comes in. Right, so now the cloud and mist sort of separating things out a bit, I can actually make it a nice interesting group of trees over there. So what I'm doing is basically, it's a bit of a leap of faith. I'm trying to get a composition set up and then I'm hoping as the sun rises, which is going to very soon, that the shot will almost come to me as opposed to me trying to hunt for the shot. So I'm trying to pre-visualise, I suppose is what I'm trying to say, but it's quite hard when your subject keeps constantly disappearing. But ultimately, I was left with two options here of either turning around, well, three options, trying to get some more height, trying to drop back down, or just sitting here and waiting for the sun to come up and see what happens. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to literally wait for the sun to break and see what it does to the landscape. Right, the whole scene actually over there now, yeah, this is really more what we wanted. the mist's now coming through, it's dropping down, so the taller trees are now appearing, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm probably just going to try and work through various different compositions because this is not going to last very long. But I think this could be the composition. Yeah, okay. I'm going to talk you through this one. As you can see, it's really, I'm using the clouds to isolate this sort of group of trees around here. Well, using the clouds is perhaps not a fair description because, let's face it, I have no control. But what I've got the two ridges now showing, and actually it's this whole scene is becoming more interesting. And I'm now moving slightly to the right, which is working even better. But this shot is going to be one of those classics where it's a fleeting moment. But this, I think, is definitely the shot. I think this will be the shot of the day, actually. So I'm just going to continue shooting this angle as these clouds go through. And when I've got the shot I'm happy with, I'll share it with you guys. So I'll have to admit, this morning when I woke up in the van and there was no fog or mist around me at all, I wasn't sure which way it was going to go. And I did have a drive down the Kielder Lakeside and couldn't see a thing. So I looked back and I saw a little bit of height. There was a bit of mist, fog hanging around there, hence why I've come back on the Forest Drive. And as it turns out, I've actually got a couple of shots that I'm really pleased with. I think the last one's particularly nice, so that's made the whole trip worthwhile. And now I'm back where I started my first shoot last night. But I've got to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed this trip. It's been very brief, but that's fine. Sometimes this happens. And I've come away with 2 or 3 photos I'm really pleased with, so that's all good. So before I bid my farewells, I just want to have a quick chat with you about my relationship with Fuji. Now, if you saw my recent video where I said that no camera system is perfect, no camera is perfect, you know that I discussed how I tried using Fujifilm for video camera and that basically I decided it wasn't fit for purpose. And I did realise when I sort of watched that video back that perhaps I did give the impression that the camera wasn't fit for purpose for all kinds of photography, and that's not what I was trying to say. It was video, and it wasn't that the video quality wasn't beautiful, because the video quality was gorgeous. It was the autofocus, and I think everybody knows that Fuji's autofocus can be a bit unpredictable. And what I was finding with the XS20 was that it would basically hunt, and it would find my face, and I could be talking to the camera, then it would go off somewhere else, then come back. Midges. And I thought this might have just been an XS20 problem, so I actually ended up buying an XT5, and the XT5 did exactly the same, but it sort of did it in situations where I really needed it just to work, and there was no reason why it shouldn't have just worked. And reading into it, these problems seem to be arising since Fuji did some firmware updates, and it seems to knock the autofocus system all skewiff, which is a real shame, because it was the only thing that laid down for me for a serious contender for my hybrid all-in-one camera, which of course is now replaced with the Panasonic. So I'm using the S5X2. However, along the way, I picked up this little bad boy, and this is, of course, the Fujifilm X-Pro3. Now, there is something just really refreshing about this camera. It's like, yeah, it doesn't have a screen. it doesn't particularly have good video, you know, even though the video works amazingly well for what it is, but you're only getting, you know, 10 minutes 4K and always shooting 4K. It's only 26 megapixels compared to the 40 megapixels of the X-T5. But I found when I had the two cameras together, the X-T5 and the X-Pro3, I would always pick up the X-Pro3 for my photography. And so really, when I decided to get the Panasonic for my main work camera, I knew I still wanted to keep a Fuji camera because they're just fun. They're just fun. The colours are great. Black and white's great. It's a nice tactile experience. I just, sorry for the scratching, it's Midges again. It's a nice tactile experience to use them. It's just really hands-on. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. All I can explain, it's the nearest way I can compare it to is just shooting film, and that film-like experience where you do everything, you take a shot, and you don't necessarily sit there looking at your screen chimping. Now, if I want to sit there and chimp, I have to do that. But it's obviously meant to be a deterrent that you don't use it. So, yeah, I'm quite happy. Just if I have to look at something, look for the viewfinder. But I just love the camera, and I do love the Fujifilm system. So I suppose I just want to really stress that I wasn't belittling Fuji at all when I made a couple of comments in the Panasonic video, and that was not the nature of what I was trying to do. So if I've offended anybody, I do apologise. And you will see this camera a lot more. You know, I love using this camera. It's just a very different experience using the Panasonic, and so yeah, you'll see both of them really. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go before I get eaten alive by midges, because there's only so many midges one man can take in one 24-hour period. So on that note, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, maybe consider subscribing, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.